What's going on YouTube? It's PJ Chess here back in another video. So today we have game 4 of the Cleveland Open, my first video at tournament, U2100. For those who don't know, this is your first video watching. I got 3 out of 5, 1 win, and 4 straight draws. And some other lore that just dropped last night. I played 2 Masters and an Expert. I drew the Masters and I won against the Expert. So had 2 out of 3. I should get a lot of points. Hopefully I'll let you know what happens there. But let's get straight into this game. So first we have, before that, make sure you subscribe, like, all that just to help the algorithm out. But this is the first game in the tournament I played under 90% accuracy. The first 3 games, I was at 90 to 93, give or take a little bit. This is the first one, under 90%. I had 88.2, my opponent 87.4. 2400 for me and 2350 for them. If you don't know, this tournament, it's an 80 plus 30 for rounds 3, or 80 delay 30 for rounds 3 through 5 with a 30-minute time boost at move 40. The first rounds I played, those videos, it was 60 minutes with a 10-second delay because I played in the shorter day version. They start off with pawn to d4, I go d5. Bishop f4, knight here to f6, pawn to e3, pawn to e6, and knight here to knight to d2. Now, I want to step for a second. I took a while to play knight c6. Like on move 2, I think I took 5 or so minutes. I didn't know if I wanted to go e6 or knight to f6 before. This is because in the previous game I played on the white side, it felt like when they played knight f6, it was better than e6. That was my thought. I was just overthinking it. So why? I've never done this before. This is the first time I've ever played knight f6, I think, before e6 in this. And playing tournaments, it gets you thinking more with the more time. Like, okay, I'll just try this instead. And I liked what it got me. I ended up getting a very good position, but I blunder it. Well, I get a good position in the early game. I blunder that, and then in the later game, I blunder again. And they were like +7 in the lead chess engine. We'll see on this engine. I haven't put it in this one yet. But I feel like maybe the draw was a fair result for the way I played. Maybe even a loss would have been fair as well. But they go knight g to f3. I'm going to pawn here to h6. Just trying to stop the bishop from sliding here to g5. I don't want that to happen. I don't want their knight to get there. Just control that square. And they can only move forward in the e5 spot, which I'm more comfortable with them moving, to be honest with you. They go bishop here to d3. I go pawn to c5, and they go pawn here to c3. Now, after pawn to c3, I feel good because this is the London system. And if you've seen my videos before, I play the London quite a lot. I played against it quite a lot. So I think I know every idea here. And they play something that I haven't seen, mostly because it's a mistake. As you can see, you guys see it here. There's a mistake that they play. And I hadn't seen it before. It actually ends up working out because I haven't seen it. I have a miss here. Now, obviously, could I have calculated through it? I'm sure. But when you see something new and you don't have the engine, sometimes you make the wrong move. So they went for something. They were aggressive and ended up paying off for them. They weren't able to win, although had he won, I would not have been surprised. And I want you to guess this person's rating in the comments, or the time of this recording, or before the tournament, I mean. Like now it's improved. The time that I played, guess his rating, because mine is 1833 before the tournament last night. I should be around high 1800s after that one. You'll never imagine what he was rated. Maybe you will, but I was very impressed when I learned it after the round. Because I try not to look before, just so I don't psych myself. Like sometimes I do, but I've tried not to recently. But I go knight c6 here. They castle, I castle, and pawn to h3. Similar idea. They don't want my knight to slide there. The only reason it is the second best move, so it wasn't bad. I think the knight to e5 is just better. Like I thought that during the game. I was kind of surprised when it went there. The reason I was surprised, well, one, knight there. Say he goes, I mean, even just the best move, knight e5, which is what I thought he was going to play. I can't go there, right? And even if I were to take and say, what's better to take with bishop or pawn? I have pawn. I can't go there because of the queen. So it didn't make as much sense to me to push the h3 pawn, although it does in general make sense. So it's kind of contradictory. It's the second best move that you do play in the London, but at the same time, it doesn't have a huge necessity. It's not a huge necessity right now. Like it would be maybe actually. I'll take that back because I guess I could have went if they go knight here to e5, but no, I just can't go there. Maybe that's what they're worried about, is me trapping the bishop, and they wouldn't even consider knight to e5 first. Like say they went a4, then I can go here. And obviously this is probably an inaccuracy. But maybe that was their thought process. They didn't want that to happen. But if they just go knight e5, I can't get on any of these light squares. But I was kind of happy they played that. I go b6, the best move. Rook here to e1. Bishop b7. Rook over here to c8. Rook to e8. And then mistake e4. Now, in the game, I knew this was a mistake. I did. Why I played the correct first move. And I rushed knight d5. I came back to the board after. So they moved e4. They went to a think. I walked away. They took the pawn. I was like, oh, this is amazing. If I go knight d5, I give them an isolated pawn, right? And if you can't see, they do get the isolated pawn. I'll just speed up to that part. But I want to stay on this for a little bit longer. Move order is so important in chess. Had I sat there and calculated and not rushed it and got excited, I would have found you take the pawn in the center first. Now what they do is I believe you take back with the knight is the better move. I'm pretty sure. Or no, it's the pawn. The take back with the pawn, and then you can put your knight in the center. Now the move order, again, very important. Oh. Okay, maybe it's... Oh, yeah, it's take the pawn. Yeah. Right? Because if they take, you just take... Right, you'll be up some material. I missed that now and during the game. But what I was looking at more here was getting a knight in the center to try and create the isolated pawn. And I could have just won a pawn. So sometimes you should sit back and look at the moves. I didn't do that here. And I moved knight to d5. And you'll wonder why this isn't a great move. You'll see pretty shortly, honestly. I take the pawn in the center. They take. And I go pawn to a6. Now, this is an inaccuracy. One of the better moves here was knight back to f6 or bishop b4. The problem with the position, although, it's still zeros, but it's not zeros like it's symmetrical zeros. It's zeros because, it's drawable. They have this bishop that's on this long diagonal. They have the rook that can slide in. While this is isolated, they have easy counterplay. Not even counterplay, easy attacking chances. So if the position, while it's a draw, mistakes can happen. They go pawn here to a3. I go knight back to f6. Knight captures, and bishop here. Now I calculated a long time before I went knight back to f6 because I realized I blundered with knight d5. This says miss. I personally would say this is a blunder, but the way the position was, I had a very good position out of the opening, and I completely switched to being on the front foot to the back foot. I guess I wasn't on the front foot. They blundered putting me on the front foot, and I gave it right back in 2 moves. I find the whole first part of the game, as you can see, the eval bar, they're slightly better, and I'm slightly cramped up, and they finally give me a chance, and I blow it. So I'm back to playing defense. I go pawn a6 as mentioned, knight back, and I took a while to calculate that because I didn't know. I saw that at the end of a line that the bishop can get there if this knight is removed. I'm trying to think of a way to get to that position. But imagine this knight is not there, and the rook and the bishop, they're both attacking c7, and the bishop can go to c7, attacking the queen, and that pawn there is weak. So I was very worried about that. And I thought of knight f6, if I could just trade down and then also put some pressure here, I should be good. The exchange I take back with the bishop. So back again, 0 still. Actually, I'm slightly better. No, not 0 is exactly 0.000. 0.00. We're attacking this, but bishop here to e4. A move that I saw, and they saw obviously, and this is another time I took some time to think. Another move I took some time to think. I don't know what to do. The problem here, if you can't see, if you take the pawn, because it is hanging, you just lose the rook, right? You can't take the pawn. You can't take here either, because of a similar idea, they can just take the knight, right? And you remove a defender. This is now falling because of the double attack. And if you take, then take, right? So you can't really move any pieces, or you can't take the pawn. And then this I did want to play, ideally, but there are too many issues with it. The first issue being captures, and then bishop in, or even in the reverse order, I'm assuming worked. If you just go immediately bishop in, because it's still falling. This actually might be better. Or pawn to b4. They had so many options. So you can't just move the bishop out the way, or the knight out the way to get out of this pin. So you have to figure out another way to do it. And then again, if you can go rook over because of bishop. So they just have these long snipers that make the position very difficult. Now the eval bar says zeros, right? I'm not playing with this. I'm not playing the evaluation bar. I'm playing in a tournament. We both have hours, and he has an amazing position on move 18. I'm feeling it mentally. I feel the pressure on the board, and I'm not very comfortable. So I decided to go rook here to c8. Which is the second best move? I was debating between rook c8 and qd7. I ended up finding the better move, which is rook c8. This is actually an accuracy, I'm pretty sure. At least in lead chess it was. Oh no, it says qd7 is best. Okay. Well, according to lead chess, that was an inaccuracy, but I found the second best move. The reason you go rook here is so that the bishop can never slide there. So if you even now, I think knight a5 still doesn't work, honestly. Say here, I don't think you can go knight a. Oh, that probably drops something else. But the point is that knight a5 still doesn't work because it's just a very odd looking piece. And the pawn just go to b4 as well. So it does not work. But I went rook c8 to give this some more protection and to guard the c7 square. Then move knight in. I take the knight, and then I'll go queen to d7. So I play it in an inaccurate order. Qd7 should have happened before, but I played it way after the point of it needed to be played. The reason I decided to take the knight with the bishop is you take with the knight, they have I think it's either you could take the bishop. Is it take the bishop? I think it's take the bishop. I know I'm slightly better. Is it take the knight with the pawn? I knew there was something that made this complex. That is the best move. Then you have to move this out the way, or you could take on c1. I guess it's bishop g5, and this is still equal. But to me, when I'm playing the game, it did not feel as equal. This is equal because of the counterattacks, but If you're looking at it without seeing it on the board, this is still hanging. Like, that's just a basic pin score that I realized. F4 even, it creates some worry, but I think you could just take. And because they can't take the queen, or you take the rook there. I'll put that on the board. They go F4, you could take, because if they take the queen, then you know you're doing that right there, which is not something I saw. I didn't see any of this playing the game. I unfortunately am not a computer. Maybe you saw it, and you're better than me in calculating that position, but I cannot see it. I go queen here to D7, they take, I take back, and queen here to F4. At this point, I knew I was slightly worse, but I did feel good about the position. I thought they were winning because of their pressure. They lost their pressure. They still have some, which is why you have to play F5. This is like the only move, I'm pretty sure. See the valuation. Yeah. Look at the difference. 0.4 to plus 1.2, plus 3. Like, only one move here, so you have to play pawn to F5. Queen slides to G6. Queen over here to F7. And we queen trade. I could not understand why they went for the queen trade. I'm glad they did. The reason I don't think it made that much sense is that if they were to slide back, maybe it's not even the best move. Here, is that the best? Yeah, it says it's excellent. Queen H4 is best. This is one of the moves you could have played. I would have went here personally. I'm going to keep pressure. If anyone can win this, it's white. Black is never going to win this game with the way the board's set up. My pawn structure is too bad. I have a hole here on E5. They all have an isolated pawn. It's guarded by a dark square bishop, and I have a light square at 1. I can literally never take, like, I can never take this pawn or remove this bishop. So I thought they were doing a lot better here. But they didn't go for it. They went for the queen trade, and I was very excited. I just clicked the wrong move. Go to the queen trade, take back with the king, only with the king piece they can take back. Pawn forward to F3, pawn to B5. Now, I went over this with my teacher. This is actually a bad move. My thought process was to have a light square dominance, but what I was enlightened by, because I have a light square bishop, I want to give it as many options as possible. So maybe not B5. G5 is something that I considered as well. My thought of going G5 was that I would be on dark squares and the bishop could eventually get to G8. That was a flawed mindset. I should have went G5 like my instinct said, but I went for B5, just trying to play for a draw. They go rook here to C5, bishop D5. They go pawn to B4, which was a good move, but not the best. I think it was better to stack the rook. Or it says, yeah, rook EC1 was a better move, and I expected that in the game, honestly. And I knew B4 wasn't amazing, because the reason I didn't think it was amazing, say they're here, they can just push the pawn. You know, they lose that idea. Maybe this is the wrong order, but it's a general idea, right? Though they can just take the rook, take, and then B3 is a general, like, I had to put on the board here and then there. That's why I was a little confused, but I was like, well, I don't fully get it. It does make sense. Similar idea. They want to just blockade on the dark squares. Both of us clearly do not understand our end games well enough. I go pawn here to G6, trying to stay on these light squares as I mentioned. Not the best move. Rook slides over to E to C1, bishop here to C4. I take the rook, and I go rook here to C8. As you can see, there are not many moves. This is the only move that keeps it under a +1 advantage for white. You have to go here to stop the pawn from sliding down, because if they get here, then they can go to C7 whenever they want, because they have that dark square control. They take the pawn, take back with the bishop. I think this is losing. I didn't look at this. Yeah, I thought that was losing during the game because of rook there to A1, and you just can't do anything. Like, it's just a loss. You can't slide up one square because of the bishop, so I'm pretty sure the best move is like rook E8. But if you go rook E8, then as I mentioned before, once they get one move in, they have two because of the bishop guarding. So I knew you had to take with the bishop to control the file. To say, for example, if you have this, there are 2 points of entry, right? You get on the A file or the D file. Take with the bishop as I did in the game, bishop xb5. There's still 1 point of entry, but way easier to guard than 2 points. And I guard that 7th rank and the 8th rank square. So they're both controlled by me. It's hard for them to try and break in this position. They go king here to F2, bishop here to C6, rook here to D8, and king here to F6. Now at this point in the game, I was like, okay, I just have to draw. I just have to try and make this simple, as simple as possible, so they can't win. Because I knew that I couldn't win the game. Only they could, and I can't win the game because I have no passer. It's equal material, but this is not a pass pawn. This is an uncontested pass pawn. No pawn could ever stop it, only pieces. Pawns can stop all of these pawns. So they're in a better position, which is why I see it reflected in the valuation bar is plus 0.53. They go rook here to D1. I want to add, if you go H5 or something, you lose the rook and the game. You could take there, but this is just a loss, especially because you say you go there, rook over. You can never stop them from pushing the pawn at some point in the game. So you have to respond to that. Oh, this went back a decent amount. And I mess up here after F4. This is the best move. And I am an idiot. Like, I don't know if I'm an idiot. Bad self-talk's not good. But I missed a move. Bishop captures g2. Somehow, I didn't see rook g1. And I looked at this for like 5 minutes. Or not rook. I saw this. And then, well, hold on. Take. Check. Back. And then rook. This is what happens in the game. I somehow missed this. I don't really know what I was looking at. How I missed rook to g1. But I did. So you see I'm losing here. I was more focused on if they just brought their rook in or bishop in. I thought I was missing something there, but I just missed this move. I take the pawn, the rook slides in. This is a mistake, and I go pawn to h5. Another miss. I thought I calculated where I could keep the h pawn, but I miscalculated, and I spend maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes on this move, maybe a little bit more than that, but not. I spent a lot of time is the point. They go rook g7, king back to e8, rook over here to h7. And, oh, very important. You have to go king d8. If you go king d8, it's losing, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, king d8. There's just... Why is the exact reason? I think... what was the exact... Because this comes in with check, I'm pretty sure is what I calculated. King d4, this is just... Yeah, it's +2. So you have to go king d8 versus king d8. Very important difference, which is why it's the best move. It's still winning for white, but a plus 0.4 difference is pretty huge in this part of the game. They go rook to h7, bishop here, and now I'm losing, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So a draw was a fair result. You saw at the beginning I had a minus 0.5 advantage. So I was slightly better, but this is completely winning. So the fact that I didn't lose this feels like I got away with it, honestly. They go bishop here to d6, pawn here to h4, and they take the pawn. When I took the pawn, I knew I was okay. The best move here, I believe, was bishop c8. I'm pretty sure that I went over. No, there's some move. Oh, it might be here, bishop c8. Wait. They're winning. Yeah, here. Is this not bishop? Oh, yeah, bishop c. Yeah, bishop c7. I knew in Lee chess this was the best move somewhere. I did not see this at all, honestly. I'm curious, what if I go here? c6. Oh, okay. Completely missed that idea. Did not think about that whatsoever. Both of us missed that. Thankfully, we both missed that. And they go bishop d6 instead. I go h4. They take the pawn. They go king here to d7. Another miss. So we had a very accurate beginning to mid game. But our end game skills clearly need some work. But they go king d4, which is a miss. I go bishop here to f3. And this is where I knew that I could draw it. I thought I was drawing the whole time, honestly. Like, I did not know I was losing. I thought it was worse, but I know I was, like, completely lost. But bishop f3, I knew that it was definitely finally a draw and I could offer it. Because I thought it was a draw from, like, the point where the queens went off. I thought it was a drawing game. In my head, I was like, oh, this is just a draw. I'm cool with that. I thought they were like I don't give the rating away. I thought they were about the same rating as me. And they are not. So I was like, okay, whatever. We go for a draw after the queens come off. And at this point, I knew that I could finally offer it. Because at that point, they wouldn't accept the draw. Nor would I want to, really, that early in the game. I would have played out a little bit. Because I like playing chess. And like doing after move 20 or so feels unnecessary. But this is the point where I realized that I could offer them the draw. Like, we play some more moves. But I knew that at some point, they'd have to accept that reality, even though it feels like they're winning. They go rook here to h3, bishop to d5, guarding the pawn. Rook over, rook here to a7, rook in. I want to add, you can't push the pawn, even though it looks like it. He almost pushed it, which would have been this is not even losing, funnily enough. But he did almost push the pawn, and it's not losing because obviously color bishops. But you will lose this. I can just take. They thought that my rook was hanging, but it's not. So he literally, his hand was like right over it, and he's like, oh. And he realized at the last second he couldn't do that. But he goes rook here to a5 instead. I go bishop here to c6. Same idea. I don't want them to push that, really. Like, if I go... Also, it's kind of zugzwang. Because if you go back, right, I think it's still equal. But it's plus 0.2 after b5. Takes. And this is definitely harder to guard. This is a complete passer. Now, this should still be a draw. Why complicate things, though, will be my main point in that. So I just move bishop back to c6. So if they do push, now I'll just take. This is still a draw, funnily enough. Even though you're up material, guard it. This obviously colored bishops make it very difficult for anyone to win the game, honestly. They go king e5, bishop here to c5, d5, bishop here, and they move their king back. And the reason they move back is because of this idea that I was trying to figure out. So they go king here. I'm going to have to make some moves just for the purpose of this. And then, what was it? I think it was here. And then, let's just say over. And then rook. Not there. Rook up. They can't push. If they go back, this was the general idea. This is still a draw. This is still a draw. But I thought at some point I can try and win this pawn. And then rook would go back because we're just shuffling. And they can never take here. They can never push. So I thought I could get a pawn at least, but it's still a draw. So that's why they ended up going for the... We both saw this. So you see they go for the shuffle. They go back. They had an idea here on f6 and they realized my plan. They go back and we go back and forth. And at this point I offer a draw and he accepts it. Now before I tell you his rating at the time of this tournament, please take a guess. Take a guess. My rating's 1830. They outplayed me by a decent amount for this game. I was able to get the draw, but the rating was about a high 1500. He ended up getting 3 points out of 5, which is pretty ridiculous, honestly, for 1500 and you 2100. So it wasn't just me. He gave everybody some problems. Man, that was that game. I hope you could enjoy it. If you did, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share, please do all of those things for the algorithm, and have a good day. Oops.